Jokic and Wemby are the present and the future. Nikola Jokic and Wemby represent the present and future of the NBA in ways that are downright fascinating. Jokic, at 29 years old, is hands down the best player in the league right now. His stats are jaw-dropping. He's averaging over 30 points per game, ranking third in scoring, alongside 13 rebounds, also third in the league. Nearly 10 assists a game, ranking second. That's unheard of for a center. And his efficiency, 56%, shooting from the field. He's in a league of his own. On the other hand, Wemby, at just 21, is already staking his claim as the future of the league. He's averaging 24.5 points per game, which places him 15th and pulling down almost 11 rebounds, ranking 8th. Add in nearly 4 assists and a block party with over 4 blocks a game. He's leading the league in that category. It's no wonder he's 5th on the MVP ladder. It's absurd. Both of these players are anomaly. They're breaking the mold and redefining what it means to dominate the NBA. Sure, we've seen versatile forwards with speed and shooting touch, but Jokic and Wemby, they're something else. Think about it. LeBron, Durant, Curry, they've been icons, but they're nearing the end of their careers. LeBron is even in his 40s. Jokic and Wemby are the torchbearers now. Wemby's combination of size and skill is freakish. He's 7 feet 4 inches tall and moves like a guard. That alone would make him unique, but he's also a defensive force, swatting shots left and right. His offensive game is evolving quickly too. Jokic, meanwhile, is redefining the center position. His playmaking is unparalleled. Nearly 10 assists a game, and he's not a point guard. He's dissecting defenses with precision passes, often throwing no-look dimes that leave opponents shaking their heads. He's also a nightmare in the post, with footwork and touch that belong in a museum. Both of these guys are locks for the All-Star game, no question about it. And honestly, seeing them both on the first-team All-NBA wouldn't shock anyone. They've earned it. It's not just about stats either. They've got an impact that goes beyond the numbers. Take Jokic. His leadership and consistency are unmatched. He's carrying his team night in and night out, making everyone around him better. And then there's Wemby, who's only 21 and already anchoring his squad on both ends of the floor. The future for him is limitless. What makes them so special is how they challenge the norms. Jokic doesn't have the athleticism you'd expect from a superstar, yet he dominates with sheer basketball IQ and skill. Wemby is the opposite, a physical marvel with the potential to be the best defender and scorer in the league at the same time. Right now, the MVP race reflects this perfectly. Jokic is sitting at number 2, and Wemby is already number 5. That's unheard of for a player as young as Wemby. He's not just meeting expectations, he's smashing through them. And Jokic, he's making a case to be a top player of all time. These two are setting the stage for what's next in basketball. It's no longer about fitting into traditional roles. Jokic and Wemby have shattered that idea. They're showing that versatility, intelligence, and unique skill sets are the future. And they're proving it every single night. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during this season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, the players. These two have had 2 legendary matchups this season already. I want to check them out. Nikola Jokic and Wemby went head-to-head in the first game of their back-to-back matchups, and it was nothing short of spectacular. Both players delivered dominant performances, putting up monster numbers and impacting the game in their own unique ways. Jokic dropped 41 points, grabbed 18 rebounds, and dished out 9 assists while also securing 2 steals. He took 36 shots, making 15, and hit 3 of his 10 attempts from beyond the arc. Wemby responded with 35 points, 18 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. He was much more efficient, shooting 14 for 22 from the field and hitting 4 of 6 from 3. However, he struggled with turnovers, coughing up the ball 7 times. The game was intense from start to finish, with both players making their presence felt in every aspect. Jokic controlled the flow of the offense, using his vision to create scoring opportunities and keeping his team in it with his ability to get buckets in crucial moments. Wemby, on the other hand, was an absolute force on both ends of the floor. He scored in a variety of ways, from deep three-pointers to powerful finishes inside, while also making life difficult for anyone who dared challenge him at the rim. One of the biggest storylines was Wemby's foul trouble. He picked up his 5th foul with just under 9 minutes left in the game. But instead of playing timid, he responded by drilling 2 deep three-pointers to push San Antonio's lead to 97-92. That moment shifted the momentum and put the pressure back on Denver. Turnovers were a major factor, especially for Wemby. He nearly finished with an unwanted triple-double, committing 7 turnovers, while the rest of his team had only 6 combined. Denver took advantage of those mistakes, staying within striking distance until the final moments. On the other side, Jokic had to deal with Wemby's length on defense. Denver's offense adjusted by attacking in different ways, dribbling through the paint instead of challenging Wemby directly. Despite the tough defense, Jokic still found ways to put up big numbers, using his his footwork, strength, and craftiness to keep Denver in the fight. San Antonio's ability to capitalize on key moments ultimately secured them the win, taking the game 113-110. It was a battle between two of the most unique players the league has ever seen, and neither disappointed. But then they followed it up the next night. The second game of the back-to-back between Nikola Jokic and Wemby delivered another incredible battle. Denver bounced back with a hard-fought 117-114 win, and both stars once again made their presence felt. Jokic erupted for 46 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds, while adding 2 blocks and 2 steals. He shot 19 for 35 from the field and hit 3 of his 8 three-point attempts. Wemby had a different kind of performance, finishing with 20 points, 23 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. He struggled with his shot, going 7 for 19 from the field and just 2 for 12 from deep, but he was dominant on the glass. Jokic came into this game determined to make sure Denver did not drop both matchups. He controlled the offense, finding ways to score efficiently and getting teammates involved. He made sure there were no last-second heroics from San Antonio this time, dominating overtime and scoring 9 points in the extra period. His ability to close out games and take over when it matters most was on full display. Wemby's impact was felt in a different way. He controlled the rebounding battle, finishing with 23 boards and securing multiple possessions for San Antonio. He now has 57 double-doubles in 101 career games, proving just how dominant he has been early in his career. However, his scoring efficiency was not where he wanted it to be, especially from deep, where he missed 10 of his 12 attempts. Despite that, his defensive presence and rebounding kept San Antonio in the game. The teams split the back-to-back series, each grabbing a win in a highly competitive battle. The first game went San Antonio's way when Wemby stripped Jokic in the final seconds to secure the victory. This time, Jokic made sure there would be no repeat of that moment. He stripped Wemby late in the game, then finished at the rim to give Denver a 7-point lead with just over 2 minutes left in overtime. Denver capitalized on extra possessions, with Jokic and Westbrook pulling down key rebounds that led to multiple scoring opportunities. This battle between Jokic and Wemby highlighted how both players can dominate in different ways. Jokic carried the offensive load with efficient scoring and elite playmaking. Wemby showcased his ability to control the paint with elite rim protection. They may have different styles, but both are proving why they are among the most impactful players in the league. Jokic's ability to score in high-pressure moments and control the tempo of the game is what separates him from most big men. He knows when to take over and how to break down defenses, whether through scoring or passing. Wemby, despite the shooting struggles, still put up a dominant performance on the board, proving that he does not need to score at an elite level to affect the game in a massive way. The rematch lived up to the hype, with both players delivering in different ways. Jokic got his revenge after the tough loss in the first matchup, making sure Denver walked away with the win. Wemby once again showed why he is one of the best young players in the league, grabbing rebounds at a historic rate and anchoring his team defensively. This back-to-back set the stage for future battles between two of the most unique talents the game has ever seen. These two have had some massive nights this season. We all know Jokic is the best player in the world right now, but it's genuinely interesting when you compare his current numbers with Wemby's current numbers. Jokic is averaging over 30 points per game, which is more than 99% of players in the league. Wemby, on the other hand, is putting up 24.5 points per game, outscoring 96% of the competition. That alone tells the story of how dominant both players are, but the efficiency behind those numbers makes it even more impressive. Effective field goal percentage is one of the best ways to measure a player's overall shooting efficiency. Jokic is sitting at 61%, ranking higher than 85% of the league. Wemby, at 55.9%, is ahead of 66% of players. The difference? Jokic's ability to score inside at an elite level while still being an outside threat. Wemby is doing something special in his own right, hitting more three-pointers per game than Jokic, while maintaining a strong percentage inside the arc. When it comes to points per field goal attempt, Jokic is averaging 1.2, while Wemby is slightly behind at 1.1. That number reflects pure scoring efficiency, showing how often a player converts their shots into points. The gap between them isn't massive, but it highlights how Jokic gets the absolute most out of every shot. Jokic is attempting over 20 shots per game while hitting 9.5 two-pointers and just over 2 three-pointers per game. Wemby is taking slightly fewer shots, just under 19 per game, but he's making nearly 6 two-pointers and over 3 three-pointers. The three-point shooting difference is where Wemby separates himself a bit. He's taking more threes and making them at a solid rate, which adds another dimension to his game that Jokic doesn't rely on as much. True shooting percentage takes every scoring attempt into account, including free throws. Jokic's number, 64.3%, ranking better than 89% of players. Wemby, 59.6%, which is better than 72% of the league. Jokic's efficiency is off the charts because of how well he converts his inside shots while still knocking down enough threes and free throws. Wemby, while not quite as efficient, is still among the most effective scorers in the NBA. Looking at points per scoring attempt, Jokic is at 1.3, while Wemby is at 1.2. That small difference might not seem huge, but over the course of a season, it separates the truly elite scorers from everyone else. Jokic is taking over 6 free throw attempts per game and making them count, while Wemby is taking almost 4. The extra trips to the line give Jokic another advantage in efficiency. Jokic has spent years perfecting his offensive game, making him one of the most efficient high-volume scorers the league has ever seen. His ability to score at every level, combined with his elite shot selection, makes him almost unstoppable. Wemby, still early in his career, is already showing the kind of efficiency that makes people believe he'll be one of the best scorers in the league for years to come. Their styles are different, but the results are similar. Jokic is the present, setting the standard for elite scoring efficiency, while Wemby is the future, showing that he's capable of reaching similar heights. The numbers don't lie. These two are on a different level when it comes to scoring the basketball. But one thing that they're both amazing at is making their team better. First, Jokic. His offensive rating sits at 125.4, meaning his team is incredibly efficient when he is on the floor. His defensive rating, 113.2, shows that while he is known for his offense, his presence still makes a difference on defense. The result, a net rating of plus 12.3. That means his team is outscoring opponents by over 12 points per 100 possessions when he plays. That level of impact is what separates him from most stars in the league. Wemby, already ahead of 90% of players in mixed teamwork rating, has an offensive rating of 114.3 and a defensive rating of 109.5. His net rating of plus 4.7 is impressive for someone still adapting to the league. The difference in net rating between him and Jokic reflects experience more than anything else. Jokic has mastered controlling a game, while Wemby is still developing that aspect of his dominance. It is rare to see a second-year player with such an immediate impact on both ends of the floor, and his numbers prove he is only scratching the surface of what he can become. The percentage of games where a player finishes with a positive plus-minus is another key stat. Jokic, 71.4% of his games, and with his team winning the minutes he plays. That's an absurd number, showing just how consistently he affects the game in a winning way. His ability to keep his team in control of games speaks volumes about how vital he is to their success. Wemby, at 51.4%, is still above average, proving he already swings games in his team's favor. The gap shows just how rare Jokic's consistency is, but it also highlights that Wemby is already moving in the right direction as a franchise-changing player. On-off stats tell the real story of how much better a team plays with a specific player on the court. Jokic's team is 13.9 points better per 100 possessions when he is playing compared to when he is not. That's one of the highest marks in the league. His ability to create advantages and make his teammates better is unmatched. Wemby, his team is 6.9 points better when he plays, which is an incredible number for a second-year player. The fact that both players are this impactful says everything about how they influence the game beyond scoring. The difference in these numbers highlights Jokic's complete mastery of the game, but also shows that Wemby is already a major positive influence whenever he steps on the floor. Jokic has spent years perfecting his ability to elevate those around him. He makes teammates better with passing, spacing, and decision-making that are on another level. He understands how to manipulate defenses in ways that make everyone around him more dangerous. His vision is generational, and his feel for the game is something that cannot be taught. Wemby, despite his youth, is already showing signs of doing the same. His ability to block shots and stretch the floor creates opportunities for his teammates in ways that very few players can. His defense alone completely alters the game, and his growing offensive arsenal is giving his team new ways to attack. He is not just a future star, he is already a foundational piece that can be built around. And what's really incredible is for two big, they're amazing passers. Jokic ranks ahead of 99% of players in overall ball handling ability, making him one of the best in the league. His assist rate is an absurd 39.61%, meaning nearly 40% of his team's field goals come directly from his passes when he is on the court. That is a level of playmaking that very few big men in NBA history have ever reached. Wemby, while not at Jokic's level yet, still ranks ahead of 74% of players in ball handling ability. His assist percentage sits at 19.2, a solid mark for a player his size who is not a primary ball handler. The number of points created by assists is another key stat. Jokic generates 23.5 points per game just off his passing. That number alone puts him in the upper tier of offensive creators. Wemby, on the other hand, is responsible for 8.6 points per game through assists. That might seem like a massive gap, but for a player still adjusting to the NBA, it is a promising sign that he can eventually grow into an even bigger playmaking role. His ability to read the defense and make the right play is improving, and as his experience grows, so will his ability to create easier shots for teammates. Turnovers are an inevitable part of playmaking, but the efficiency of a player's decision-making is what truly matters. Jokic turns the ball over on just 8.5% of his plays, one of the lowest marks for a player with his level of involvement. His ability to control the game and minimize mistakes is what makes him so special. Wemby, on the other hand, has a turnover percentage of 12.45, which is higher than Jokic, but expected for a younger player handling the ball at his position. The difference comes down to experience and composure. Jokic has mastered his role, while Wemby is still learning how to control the game under pressure. Jokic is averaging nearly 10 assists per game while committing just over 3 turnovers. That ratio is phenomenal for any player, let alone a center. His ability to consistently find teammates for open looks while limiting mistakes is rare. Wemby, meanwhile, averages 3.7 assists to 3.5 turnovers, meaning he is still working on balancing creation with ball security. The assist to turnover gap between them highlights Jokic's unparalleled court vision, while also showing that Wemby has the tools to become a much better facilitator as he gains more experience. When it comes to scoring attempts versus turnovers, Jokic is involved in nearly 24 plays per game, where he either shoots or turns the ball over. Despite that high volume, he remains one of the most efficient decision makers in the league. His touch, patience, and understanding of spacing allow him to manipulate defenses without forcing plays. Wemby, taking a little over 20 shots per game, has a slightly higher turnover rate, but is still finding ways to impact the game as a secondary playmaker. His passing vision is developing, and as his game matures, he will find ways to be more efficient in his decision-making. The contrast between them is striking. Jokic's passing, patience, and vision make him an offensive engine that keeps everything running smoothly. His ability to make the right pass at the right time is what separates him from other big men. He is not just a scorer, he is a conductor, orchestrating the offense at an elite level. Wemby, while still developing, already has flashes of elite playmaking potential. He has the ability to create for others, but his efficiency will improve with time. His height allows him to see over defenders, and as he gains more experience, he will learn to make reads even quicker. Jokic's passing ability is legendary. His knack for hitting teammates in stride, whether it is a simple drop pass or a behind-the-back dime, is unmatched. His ability to pass out of double teams, find shooters in the corners, and create easy baskets in transition is elite. Wemby, despite being newer to the league, has already shown that he can be a willing and capable playmaker. He has a unique blend of height and vision that allows him to make passes that most players his size cannot. His ability to find cutters and make smart reads out of the post is something that will only improve with time. The numbers prove that Jokic is one of the most skilled passers in NBA history, while Wemby is on the right path toward becoming a dangerous offensive creator in his own right. Every game they play, they show just how much elite ball handling and decision-making can change the game no matter their position on the court. Jokic is already a finished product, one of the greatest passing big men to ever play. Wemby is still growing, but his potential is undeniable. The numbers highlight their differences, but they also show that both are capable of making an enormous impact with the ball in their hand. One is a master, the other is a rising star, but both are rewriting what it means to be a playmaking big man in the modern NBA. And although Jokic has been solid defensively, that's the one spot where Wemby has him right now. Jokic ranks ahead of 88% of players in mixed team defense, which measures how much he prevents opponents from scoring both individually and as part of a team. His ability to read plays, position himself well, and disrupt passing lanes makes him a strong defender. He is not a traditional shot blocker, but his ability to control space and dictate the flow of an opposing offense makes him a unique defensive asset. Wemby, however, is in a completely different category, ranking ahead of 98% of players in the same metric. His presence alone alters the way teams attack, forcing them into bad shots and rush decisions. When he is on the court, Opponents think twice before driving to the rim, and even perimeter players adjust their approach knowing Wemby is lurking inside. Steals and blocks are two major indicators of defensive impact. Jokic averages 1.8 steals per game, a strong number for a center, showing his ability to anticipate plays and create turnover. His hands are deceptively quick, allowing him to poke the ball away from unsuspecting opponents and jump passing lanes for fast break opportunities. His shot blocking numbers are lower at just 0.5 per game, but that is expected given his style of play. He does not rely on verticality or athleticism to impact shots, but rather on positioning and timing. Wemby, on the other hand, is leading the league in blocks with 4.1 per game. That level of rim protection is nearly unmatched, and it is a big reason why he will win Defensive Player of the Year this season. He erases shots at the basket, forcing teams to take lower quality attempts or avoid the paint altogether. Defensive rebounding is another key factor in a player's impact. Jokic pulls down 9.7 defensive rebounds per game, controlling the glass and limiting second chance opportunities for opponents. His ability to secure rebounds and immediately start the fast break is an underrated aspect of his game. He does not just grab rebounds, he turns them into scoring chances. Wemby is right behind him at 9 rebounds per game, proving he can clean up mistakes and end possessions. The difference between them comes down to style. Jokic uses positioning and strength, while Wemby's length allows him to grab boards over multiple defenders. Wemby's rebounding numbers are even more impressive, considering his primary roles is blocking shots and contesting shots at the rim. Team defensive efficiency measures how well a team defends when a specific player is on the court. Jokic's team defensive efficiency is 113.2, meaning his presence helps keep opponents from scoring at an elite rate. He may not be the most athletic defender, but his impact on team defense is undeniable. His communication, ability to switch when necessary, and overall understanding of positioning make him a much better defender than people give him credit for. Wemby's number is even better at 109.5, proving that his defensive presence has an immediate impact on his team's ability to shut down opposing offenses. His ability to rotate quickly, switch onto perimeter players, and contest shots at an elite level makes him one of the most valuable defensive players in the league today. Both players affect the game in different ways defensively. Jokic is a smart, disciplined defender who relies on positioning and anticipation to disrupt plays. He is not going to wow anyone with athletic plays, but his ability to be in the right spot at the right time is invaluable. He does not gamble for steals, but when he sees an opportunity, he takes it. Wemby is a shot blocking machine who completely changes the way teams approach scoring in the paint. His presence alone is enough to alter a team's entire offensive game plan. Even when he is not blocking shots, his sheer length forces teams to rethink their approach. Jokic's defensive value is often overlooked because his offensive game is so dominant, but the numbers prove that he is far from a liability on defense. He understands defensive schemes, executes them at a high level, and consistently makes winning plays on that end. Wemby, on the other hand, is already proving he is the best defender in the league and will take home Defensive Player of the Year this season. His ability to protect the rim, switch on to guards, and rebound at a high level makes him one of the most versatile defenders the league has ever seen. Every game, they show why defense is just as important as offense when it comes to winning at the highest level. Jokic leads through intelligence and positioning, while Wemby dominates with physical tools and instinct. One player controls the game through sheer skill and understanding, while the other overwhelms opponents with elite athleticism and defensive instincts. Both approaches work, and both players are proving that elite defense comes in many forms. Jokic's impact is measured through advanced positioning and reading plays before they happen, while Wemby's defensive dominance is felt in real time with highlight reel blocks and suffocating paint defense. Jokic's ability to limit mistakes and keep his team organized on defense makes him a quiet but effective leader on that end of the floor. His ability to box out, contest shots without fouling, and keep opposing big men in check makes him an asset that any team would love to have. Wemby, on the other hand, is already an elite rim protector and defensive anchor, shutting down drives, rotating seamlessly, and making life miserable for opposing scorers. There is no doubt that Wemby's defensive upside is higher, but Jokic's consistency and ability to dictate defensive schemes make him just as valuable in a different way. Wemby is already putting up historic block numbers, but Jokic is proving that team defense is just as important as individual defensive stats. Both players are redefining what it means to be an elite big man in today's NBA. One is the present, and the other is the future, but both are proving that defense still wins championship. As the season progresses, Wemby's Defensive Player of the Year campaign will only grow stronger, while Jokic's ability to anchor a championship team's defense will continue to be overlooked. The numbers do not lie. Both players make a massive impact, and their defensive games, while different, are equally effective in the right system. Whether it is Jokic's ability to disrupt plays before they happen, or Wemby's ability to erase mistakes in real time, both players are proving that the best teams are built around big men who can dominate both ends of the floor. Rebounding is one of the most important aspects of the game, and Nikola Jokic and Wemby dominate the boards in different ways. Jokic, a 3-time MVP, has established himself as one of the best rebounders in the league. Wemby, in just his second season, is already proving that he can control the glass at an elite level. The numbers show how they compare and what makes each of them special in this category. Jokic is pulling down an incredible 13.1 rebounds per game, a number that places him ahead of 97% of players in the league. His ability to read the ball off the rim, use his body to shield defenders, and secure the rebound is unmatched. Wemby is right behind him, averaging 10.8 rebounds per game, ranking ahead of 93% of players. He may not grab as many boards as Jokic yet, but his length and timing make him one of the best young rebounders in the league. The breakdown between offensive and defensive rebounds tells the full story. Jokic is bringing in 9.7 defensive rebounds per game, while Wemby is right at 9. Both players have an elite defensive rebounding rate, ranking among the top 5% in the league. Jokic's defensive rebound percentage is 24.44, while Wemby's is slightly higher at 24.59. This means that when a shot goes up, both of them are responsible for securing nearly 1/4 of all available defensive rebounds when they are on the floor. On the offensive side, Jokic holds a significant advantage. He is averaging 3.5 offensive rebounds per game, ranking ahead of 89% of players. His offensive rebounding percentage is 9.72, showing just how often he gives his team second chance opportunities. Wemby, on the other hand, is pulling down 1.8 offensive rebounds per game, ranking ahead of 68% of players. His offensive rebounding percentage is 5.45, which is lower than Jokic's, but still solid for a player who focuses on defensive dominance. Jokic's strength and positioning allow him to battle for rebounds in the paint, using his footwork to create space and outmuscle opponent. His feel for the game lets him anticipate where the ball will land, putting him in the perfect position to grab boards consistently. Wemby's rebounding style is different, but just as effective. His length allows him to reach over defenders and grab rebounds that others simply cannot. He does not always have to fight for position because his wingspan gives him an advantage in securing the ball even when boxed out. Another key factor is how their rebounding contributes to their teams. Jokic's ability to grab defensive rebounds and immediately push the ball down the court makes him one of the best transition initiators in the league. His rebounding is not just about securing the ball, it is about turning defense into offense instantly. Wemby's rebounding impact is felt on the defensive end, where his ability to end possessions with a secured board allows his team to set up their transition defense effectively. Jokic has mastered the art of rebound, and the numbers show that he is one of the best to ever do it. Wemby, in just his second season, is already showing signs that he will be a dominant rebounder for years to come. The numbers prove that both players are elite when it comes to controlling the glass, but they do it in very different ways. Jokic relies on strength, positioning, and feel, while Wemby uses length, timing, and athleticism. Both approaches work, and both players are proving why rebounding is one of the most valuable skills in basketball. And it really is crazy how much these two do for their teams. Nikola Jokic and Wemby are two of the most impactful players in the league, and their advanced usage stats prove it. Jokic, a 3-time MVP, is the engine of his team's offense, while Wemby, in just his second season, is already commanding an incredibly high usage rate. The numbers highlight how both players dictate their team's offensive flow in different ways. Jokic's usage rate is sitting at 30.1%, ranking ahead of 95% of players in the league. That means nearly 1/3 of his team's offensive plays end with him making a decision, whether it is a shot, free throw attempt, assist, or turnover. Wemby, on the other hand, has an even higher usage rate at 31.5%, ranking ahead of 97% of players. Despite being in just his second season, he is already handling a massive workload and making an impact on nearly every offensive possession. Looking at the actions taken, Jokic is averaging 20.7 field goal attempts per game, 6.4 free throw attempts, 9.9 assists, and 3.1 turnovers. He's involved in 77.9 possessions per game, making him the absolute focal point of his team's attack. Wemby, while slightly lower in total possessions at 68.5 per game, is still taking a high volume of shots, with 18.9 field goal attempts, 3.9 free throw attempts, 3.7 assists, and 3.5 turnovers. His team is already leaning on him to be the primary decision maker, and that level of responsibility this early in his career is almost unheard of. Jokic's offensive involvement is defined by his ability to make plays for others while still maintaining a high scoring volume. His nearly 10 assists per game show just how much he controls the pace and flow of the game. He does not just look for his own shot, he makes sure everyone around him is getting quality looks. Wemby, while not as much of a facilitator, is still growing into that role. His assist numbers are lower, but his usage rate indicates that his team trusts him to create offense consistently. As he develops, his playmaking will likely improve, making him an even greater force on that end. Turnovers are another important factor when evaluating usage. Jokic, despite handling such a high number of possessions, is only turning the ball over 3.1 times per game. His decision-making is elite, allowing him to maximize his team's offensive efficiency. Wemby, on the other hand, has a slightly higher turnover count at 3.5 per game. That is expected for a younger player who is still adjusting to the speed of the game, but it is an area where he can improve as he gains more experience. Possessions played are another key indicator of how much responsibility a player carries. Jokic is involved in nearly 10 more possessions per game than Wemby, but Wemby's high usage rate in fewer possessions shows just how much his team is relying on him when he is on the floor. His impact is undeniable, and as his game matures, his efficiency in those possessions will only get better. Wemby is not just putting up big numbers, he is also proving he is an elite defensive anchor. He is on track to win Defensive Player of the Year, and his ability to dominate both ends of the floor at such a young age is incredible. Jokic's game is more polished, relying on years of experience to make the right play every time, while Wemby is still growing into his role. Jokic's ability to control the offense is second to none. He knows exactly when to slow the game down, when to push in transition, and when to take over himself. His efficiency, combined with his ability to get teammates involved, makes him one of the most complete offensive players in the league. His assist rate is elite, proving that his high usage is not just about scoring. He is dictating everything that happens on the floor. Wemby, on the other hand, is a force in his own way. His high usage rate shows that his team already trusts him to be the focal point of their offense. Even in just his second season, he is taking a huge number of shots and possessions, which speaks to his confidence and his team's belief in him. His ability to take on such a workload at his age is rare, and as he continues to refine his game, he will only become more efficient. Jokic's offensive efficiency is built on decision-making and skill. He minimizes mistakes, finds the best shot, and creates opportunities for others. His ability to read the game is what makes him so dangerous. He does not force plays. He makes the right play every time. Wemby, while not as efficient yet, has the tools to develop a similar ability. His usage rate is proof that he is already one of the most relied upon players in the league, and as he polishes his game, his impact will only grow. The contrast between these two players is what makes their matchup so exciting. Jokic is the definition of a polished, experienced superstar who has mastered his role. Wemby is the future, bringing a rare combination of length, skill, and defensive dominance. The fact that he is already handling such a high workload in his second season is a testament to how special he is. His ability to score, rebound, and protect the rim, all while being the centerpiece of his team's offense, is incredible. Jokic and Wemby are redefining what it means to be a high-usage player in today's NBA. Jokic is the present, controlling games with precision and experience. Wemby is the future, showing that he is already capable of taking on the same level of responsibility. As the season progresses, their numbers will continue to reflect just how much they mean to their teams. One is a seasoned MVP. The other is a rising superstar, but both are proving that their teams run through them every single night. Overall, though, Nikola Jokic and Wemby are already two of the most incredible players in the league, and what makes their matchup so special is that one represents the present, while the other is the future. Jokic, a three-time MVP, is already at the peak of his power, controlling the game with his elite decision-making, playmaking, and scoring efficiency. He dictates every possession, making sure his team gets the best possible shot, whether it is through his own scoring or his ability to set up teammates. His rebounding is elite, his basketball IQ is unmatched, and he has already proven that he can lead a team to a championship. Wemby, in just his second season, is already showing that he is on a trajectory to be one of the all-time greats. His defensive dominance is already at a historic level, and he is well on his way to winning Defensive Player of the Year. His rebounding is elite, his ability to protect the rim changes how teams attack, and his offensive game continues to evolve. Despite still refining his efficiency and playmaking, he is handling a massive workload, proving that his team believes he is ready to be their franchise cornerstone. The numbers back up their greatness. Jokic is an offensive maestro, leading in usage, assists, and efficiency, while Wemby is already proving he can handle the same level of responsibility. Jokic is the gold standard of a complete superstar, and Wemby is rapidly following in his footsteps. One is the best player in the game right now. The other is the one who will take over the league in the years to come. No matter how different their styles may be, they both dominate in ways the NBA has rarely seen before.